So, yesterday there was a video that went around on Instagram where a woman was changing a tire in the rain while a guy stood behind her on his phone. The way it was cut together, it was like a woman was watching from her car and kind of giving her own commentary on the fact that there was a woman, a young woman, changing a tire, front driver's side tire on a vehicle with a guy standing behind her in his phone. He got in the car at one point, came back out. It was raining. She was holding the umbrella while, I guess, doing the lug nuts or something. And of course, there was commentary. So let's just talk about this for a moment about asking and receiving and making withdrawals and all of that. My name is Michelle Talbert, and this is the We All Win podcast, where you are seen, safe, and supported. I center Black women, generally over 40, and I am testing out slash moving into the space of creating micro episodes that may come out, every day or every couple of days, where I share from my heart about ideas, thoughts, things happening that I think could potentially pour into you, the listener. Thank you for being here. And so I want to talk today about this concept of asking for help and receiving help. And if you're like me, potentially you may have just clicked over to the next podcast to listen to because ain't nobody got time for asking people for help and them not delivering. You've been let down. I've been let down. I get it. So I want to thank you for being here. Yesterday was the first day that I released a micro episode, and it had been since October since I'd released any episodes. I have been podcasting for 18 years. I first picked up 18 years. First picked up the podcast mic, and honestly, I've been tired because of how loud it's been in the podcast world. And I'm not trying to be fancy. I'm really always picked up the mic to pour into women and really got discouraged. So I am here today to talk about withdrawals. Last few weeks, I have been hearing this word and literally from God when I'm in my prayer time or when I've been in need of something. And He's like, make the withdrawal. And the issue being, we've all made deposits, right? So I'm going to finish talking about this story about this tire changing. And then I want to talk about asking and receiving. So the video went around, and the way that I saw it was that there's a gentleman who, I guess, his name is like Dorian the Bearded Man or something like that, and he has a super deep voice. And if you've seen him, you know what I'm talking about. He's like, he sends text messages to a woman, quote unquote, and reads them back and forth. And it's all about, him being a healthy man, being a healthy relationships and a secure relationship, and what that could potentially look like. So he shares the video. And of course, needless to say, he considers himself a chivalrous man. He considers himself a gentleman. So he had some very particular words for whatever this guy was doing that was not changing the tire in the rain. Well, this woman was on the ground changing the tire in the rain. So I sent it to my best friend. My best friend is also chivalrous, but he's also, if you believe in sun signs, a Gemini. And so they have two sides to everything, right? And so I'm a Sagittarius, he's a Gemini. We are exact polar opposites, which makes us exactly the perfect people to be best friends. So I sent it to him, and he's like, okay, well, on the one hand, yeah, that's trife. Like, that's really fucked up if he really is doing that. But on the other hand, is it possible that she asked him to teach her how to change a tire, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Look, we will never know. And this is like the blue and black versus what was it? White and black was the other color because I saw blue and black, that dress that went around on the internet. And it was like you can see this two ways, but most people are leaning toward potentially the fact that she's holding her own umbrella, it's being in the rain, and he's on his phone, and then also got in the car. Who gets in a car while you're jacking up a car? I don't understand. That's not even possible. That potentially, it's unlikely that he was in any way teaching her how to change this tire, which goes to another story about a girl calls a father and it's like, can dad, we got a flat tire, can you teach me how to change the tire? And the dad is like, I thought dude that you're dating was with you. And she's like, he's here, can you tell us though, he doesn't know how to change a tire, can you tell us, how do I change the tire, dad? And the dad goes, well, the first step is break up with so and so. Right? So there's this like, and this moment in time right now where people are really talking about women and help and masculinity, femininity, changing tires, etc. The only thing I will say to the video that went around was, from the outside looking in, I just don't know that that's a romantic partner. And sometimes brothers and sisters and cousins can be kind of funky with each other. So I'll just leave that there. But whatever that visual is, it definitely lit something and has started conversation and continued some existing conversation. So I'll leave that there. You might come across it and you can draw your own conclusions or see if there's any follow up from the actual people who were in the video at some point. But what I wanted to talk about is this concept that has been coming through so loudly from God to me that says, make the withdrawal. Make the withdrawal. And what that means, as I interpret it and I receive it, is you've made deposits. You've made deposits consistently into people. You've made deposits financially, of time, of love, of caring, of support, of any type of need fulfillment that other people may have needed, but you have not made any withdrawal from them. And that is okay. And what was interesting to me is that I recently saw, if you're familiar with the podcast Earn Your Leisure, was it Rashad and Bilal, maybe? I always forget their names. But they were talking recently, and I happened to catch a snippet where there apparently, and you maybe have known this, I did not know this, that there's this state forfeiture of bank accounts that have been dormant for 2 or more years, depending on the state, I guess, what that threshold is. But what it says is that if a bank account has not had any activity for a length of time, 2 years, 3 years, whatever that is, it doesn't matter, if it has not had any activity, so that means no external activity, right? So it can be an account, let's say, that is gaining interest. That interest, it does not count as activity. What they were saying, and I have not looked this up, so if this is not true, then forgive me, because I definitely have not verified it. But they said that if an account is dormant and has no external activity, no withdrawals and no deposits over a period of time, the bank has the right to close the account, and after potentially some level, some duration of redemption period, meaning if you reach out and you're like, where's my bank account, you can get it back. But if that time passes, any funds in that account are given to the state in which either the bank is located or the bank is formed. I don't know, because I didn't look it up. I mean, it sounds semi-true, right? That there would be, it makes sense that if people die and they don't have relatives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the money is sitting there. Arguably, it would make sense that it would turn over to the state. After an amount of time, a home is just sitting there. If taxes aren't being paid, it doesn't seem like the grass is being cut, certain things aren't happening, that gets turned over as well. So we get that concept from a perspective of property. And I just thought, oh, this is interesting. If you don't make any withdrawals from that account, you lose it. You lose it, right? If you don't make any deposits into that account, you lose it. And so that makes sense from the perspective of relationships as well. We are created to rely upon one another, depend upon one another, regardless of what society and some societies and some influences, more European influences, have created this sort of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Horatio Alger kind of very, a man is an island. We, most of us, Black people, people of color, women, do not see the individual, we see the communal, but we are operating within systems that are, for lack of a better term, patriarchal, right? And so we lean toward this independence. That's one part of it, right? That's the macro argument for having this fierce independence. And the culture says that everybody's responsible for themselves, and that unfortunately gets taken to such an extreme that it can keep us from asking for help. But then on the micro level, the same thing. We're not making withdrawals, potentially because we've been hurt, potentially because we've asked someone for help and they haven't given it to us, or multiple people have let us down, or when it really mattered, someone didn't show up and things fell apart. And I get that. I totally get that. And so I want to ask you if you have thoughts of, I have to do this on my own. I can't take the chance that this will not get done. And if you do, what do you do? Right? What do you do when you need help? You know you need help, but you don't ask for help. Does that help you? Does that serve you? How do you feel internally? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Again, that's even what I was saying yesterday, that one of the beauty and main reason for me being this vulnerable myself is because I'm a thug. Like, I'm from New York. I get shit done, right? I was a single mom for a very long time, and even when I was married, it was like, oh my God, it was like a third kid, um, and it's like, I just do the shit myself. I will just do it myself because I know it'll get done. There's a very popular phrase called black don't crack. And really, the rest of that's just the beginning of a phrase. I think the rest of the sentence is on the outside. Because we're cracking on the inside, sisters. Like, it's not easy. We're not made to carry everything. We are not here to carry everything all by ourselves. And we have a responsibility to ask so that our burden is light and that we can amplify, multiply, be even more impactful through community with others who are trustworthy. I'm not saying just ask any and everyone for assistance, right? Um, the Bible talks about timing, right? So sometimes it's not the right time to ask for something, and I get that. A time to sow and a time to reap, right? And to carry the withdrawal piece a little further, that's exactly what reaping is. You have put something in the ground. It is fertile. It is growing. If you don't pick an apple from a tree, the apple eventually falls off of the tree and the apple dies. Now, it does go back into the ground and fertilize it, but what's wrong with picking the apple and eating it and letting it nourish you and enjoying it, and then taking those seeds and maybe planting them a couple of miles down the road so that those folks can have apples, right? Because when we make the withdrawal, I'm mixing all the metaphors. Hopefully you're following. I'm potentially going to do a micro episode on my spicy brain now that I'm in postmenopause, conversation for another day. But, you know, planting those seeds down the road so other people can eat. When we do things collectively, when we all do things together, we win. But we have to shed the armor that we have on from past hurts, from past disappointments, whatever that may be. So, if you're like I used to be, and I definitely am a work in progress, but hearing that voice of God so clearly, so loudly in a time when I knew that I was flailing a few weeks back, maybe a month or so ago. And finally, last week, I woke up and I wrote a list out, and I needed help thinking about this event this coming Saturday. And one homegirl I hit up and I'm like, I'm not doing okay. I'm really limiting myself. I'm not getting on social media. I'm not talking about this event. Women are signing up only because if I run into them or we meet somewhere or we meet and then they're like, oh my God, I love this. And they're signing up, but I'm not amplifying the messaging. And I know that women need to be in this room, but I'm holding myself back. What the hell, you know? And my girlfriend Stacy, to her credit, she got on WhatsApp and she messaged me and she was like, "Here's what you're gonna do, sis. Boom, boom, boom." And the third thing she said, and I'm gonna say this to you, if maybe what's holding you back potentially, or you're keeping yourself quiet for asking for support to get your messaging out there, write the agent for the book or any other way of putting your voice into our atmosphere. She said, Michelle, I'm going to need you to go back and read your resume as if you were a stranger, as if you were reading a stranger's resume. Right. And basically, what's that saying? We all know, we look at each other. I can look at your resume and be like, oh my God, this sister has it together. While at the same time, you're feeling like, oh my God, there's so much I didn't do, or if you only knew. And I thought, wow, that's a nice little piece to give me strength to ask for help in this particular area, right? To ask for that support and get it. And it did help. I got on the phone and I started talking to some people, and it really shifted things for me. But that wouldn't have happened if I just kept ruminating and kept it in my mind and didn't ask for help. And that help looked like support. I need a word from you, sis. What can I do? I just need this space to be able to unload and be safe. And so, how can this help you? Ooh, only you know. But I would say potentially to ask for something. It could be something small. You could ask somebody to get something off of a shelf for you. You could ask, I mean, girl. So I'm 5'8", which I don't even feel is that tall, but apparently it's tall, and I'm 6'1" in heels, whatever. Um, it never fails when I'm in the grocery store. Someone asks me to reach something off the shelf for them, upper shelf. It's crazy to me. It happens more frequently that I live in Louisiana. I don't even think it's happened to me before I lived in Louisiana. I don't know what that's about. But I am just like flabbergasted at the amount of people who ask me to reach something for them that's higher than they are. Right. So it can be that simple. It could be asking somebody to pass you a napkin. It could be asking for directions. It could be asking for anything. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be monumental. It doesn't have to be something that's so critical that things would fall apart if you don't get the help. But let's build the muscle, right? Like, since I'm going to, talk about all the metaphors today, let's talk about in the gym. You might start with a 3 pound weight and then work your way up to a 6 or 8 pound, hand weight. So just ask for something small, right? And then the last thing I want to say before I shut it all down is to talk about the act of receiving help that is offered to you. Receiving help that you have not asked for, but would absolutely make your burden lighter, right? And if you're like I was, because I've been working in this receiving and asking, if you're like I was, then potentially your knee jerk is to say no when someone offers something for you. And a couple of months ago, I was on a plane. I brought my roller bag onto the plane, and there was a guy sitting across the aisle, one seat behind where I was stopping to get ready to put my suitcase in the overhead compartment. He looked at me and he said, "Hey, would you like some help? I can put that up there for you." And I was like, "Sure." It took a half a beat, right? Because I almost said no, but I was like, "Why not?" I've been working through this and asking for help, but I never thought about the let's receive the help offered, right? So, he picked up the bag, he put it in there. I said, thank you. He smiled, I smiled. He looked at me and said, you're welcome. Most women say no. And I was like, oh, okay. So I sat down. We all went on to our destination. I happen to love window seats, so I was in the window seat. And like I said, he was in the aisle seat across the aisle from me. So when we landed, he stood up, turned around, and brought my bag down out of the bin without asking. No problem. And we both went on our merry way. No underlying need, no underlying swarminess, no trying to hit on me, nothing. Literally, he was glad to do it. And he actually looked happy to do this. And so I know that there are so many reasons why we can't or don't or won't trust help that is offered to us. And all I'm asking is that I know that it's difficult to achieve anything in life without help. And to come in today and just to say to you, sis, I see you, I get it. And also, is it something that you're willing to work on? Is it something that you're open to exploring? Is it something that you're open to receiving help, asking for help? And in the right environments, and I trust your spirit of discernment, it is safe to ask for help. It is safe to receive help. It is safe to be taken care of, and it is safe to rest. There are people waiting to help you. Dare I say, there are people assigned to help you. Oh, right. I don't even have time to unpack that. There are people just waiting in the wings to be activated to help you do the thing that you are on this planet to do, from raising children to buying the block, everything in between. We are not put here to do this on our own. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear if any of this resonated with you. I'd love to hear if you ask or receive any help today, this week, in the coming weeks. Please find me on LinkedIn, Michelle Y. Talbert, IG, Michelle Y. Talbert. I am Michelle Y. Talbert anywhere. So if you just Google Michelle Y. Talbert, something's going to pop up and you can get to me. My DMs are always all up open. My alerts are not on. Okay, so I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to talking with you again. Let me know if this resonated in any way. This is the We All Win podcast, where you, sis, are seen, safe, and supported. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.